View ribbon. Welcome to another video of Adobe Illustrator Essential. In this lesson, we are going to be learning about all the tools or all the commands we have in the View ribbon. In our previous lesson, we completed all the basic tools which we have in our panel of Adobe Illustrator, and also we are done with our Effect ribbon. So now we only have Window and also View. So without any further ado, let's open up a preset and start off with our lesson. As you can see that I have opened up my preset in Adobe Illustrator. Now we're going to start off with our View ribbon. Now what is about this View ribbon? So it's going to help you to find out, or let's say it's going to help you to make your workspace make how you want to make it look. Okay, and it's all about the viewing point, all about the POV. Okay, so first off, you can see on the first tool, which is on our View ribbon, is called Outlines. The shortcut key for outline is Control and Y. Now you can make anything into an outline. So first I'm going to do is make a shape. Now I'll be making a shape. Now I can also put in a text. So I'm going to do is put in a text this time. Now I want it to turn into an outline. So press on Control and Y, and you'll basically see all the outline. Control and Y again. You can see how it basically looks. Okay. Now you can also click on any object and click on View and press on Outline, and you can see the outline of this. You can see the whites, and you can see the gray part has been removed. Okay. I'm going to click on this again. Click on View. Now you can see GPU preview. This is how basically it works. This is the basic GPU preview, which is on default most of the time, but if you want to see the outline, it's going to be up to you how you're going to work with it. Then let's go off to the next one, and you can see also preview on CPU. You can also preview it on CPU if you want to, and that is basically a bit different. You can see the CPU preview. This is over here too. If I click on View, if I click on GPU preview, you can only see that this is on preview right now, 45.86%. Okay, so this is how much GPU which is being used. Then we have is overprint preview. When you click on this overprint, you can see that this is basically how it will look like when you are using overprint preview. And whenever you're viewing that exact method or exact process, you can see it over here. Now you can see it is written CPU overprint preview. So this is basically how it works, and you can navigate through it whenever you want. Now, if you don't want to navigate through it or use these scroll bars, obviously I've shown you in my previous lesson that we can use this tool to navigate through Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to click on View again and keep it on CPU and keep it just the way it is. Now I'm going to do is click on View again, and then we have is Pixel Preview. Now if you want Pixel Preview, you can see this is how it will look like. Now you might not see any differences, but this is basically the preview how you want it to be. If you want Pixel Preview, it will look like this. If you want GPU, if you want CPU, it's going to be up to you how you want it to preview. Now you can see the pixels are being used 100%. So whenever I use whichever one of them, you can see the percentage is now changing. In CPU outline, CPU is being used 45.86%. It just helps you to keep track of which component is and how it is working. Now you can see there is also trim view, but this is not going to work right now because I'm not using GPU. Now you can see view. When I use this, now the trim view is available. You can also see it on the trim view, and on trim view it is being processed or working 45.86%. Now let's go off the view again, and then we have its presentation mode. Before presenting anything or any of your work, you can go through presentation mode so that you can show it to any person or present it in full screen mode. You can see this is how it will look like. It is basically the same one when you present it through, let's say, PowerPoint or maybe direct on screen without showing the UI. And if you want to get out of it, just make sure to hit on escape, and then you will get out of that workspace, and it will just land you on this essential workspace of Adobe Illustrator. Now as we're done with this, now let's go off to other views. Now click on View again, and then we have a screen mode. There are basically three types of screen mode: normal screen mode, full screen with menu bar mode, and full screen mode. Well, you can go through whichever one you want. Now, if you want a bigger workspace, I will suggest you to use full screen with menu bar mode, and you will basically see more type of, let's say, you will get more space, and you will be able to put in more things. You'll basically see that on your PC, the cross buttons or closing buttons minimize, and let's say cascade, and also even your taskbar will be invisible for a while. Okay, and if you want to click on view again, and you can also change it whenever you want, and you can also keep it on full screen mode, and you will basically see all the UIs will now be invisible. You will not be able to see it. Just press on escape, and you will basically see all the tools back again. So this is basically how you get out of these view modes in Adobe Illustrator. What I'm gonna do is keep it where I can. I'm gonna hold it back over here, and there we go. Looks a lot more better keeping it in the middle. Now let's go off the view again, and then we have is proof setup. Now, which type of setup do you want, or what is the color type you are going to use? Now, as I'm using a CMYK pattern, or let's say I'm using the color, palette of CMYK, not RGB. So you can see that they are not in RGB, or the RGB ones are not now working or grayed out. But if you are using any RGB color, panel, or any RGB palettes before making in your preset, you can select on RGB, and those will be available over here. Now, Adobe Illustrator also offers you color blindness options, or let's say tools, or let's say the advantages. If you have presbyopia, you can select on this, and you will basically get your it will just help you identify which color it is. And then we also have deuteranopia. It will also help colorblind people to detect colors. And you can also customize this panel by clicking on customize, and you'll be able to select it from over here. Now you can see that I am using US web coded swap v2, but you can use whichever one you want. You can see ESRGB. Now if I change it to ESRGB, all the sRGB, proofs will be available. Now I can use whichever rendering option I want. If you want saturation, if you want vivid colors, then I'm going to suggest you to use saturation, because I've worked with a couple of saturation colors and how I want it to view, because it just helps me kind of find out which color is being used, or which color needs to actually pop up or get dulled up. Okay, so you can use whichever one you want, and I also keep it a bit vivid when I'm trying to presenting stuff, because it just looks a lot more alluring than being all dull. So after you're done selecting it, just press on OK, and all the proofs will be added up, or all the proofs have now been applied. Okay, now you can go off the view again, and then we have a zoom in and zoom out. Well, in zoom in, there is also a shortcut key assigned to it, which is Control and plus plus. And in zoom out, which is Control plus minus. Okay, now you can do it over here. You can also use this tool of zoom in and out, but you can also press on Control and plus and Control and minus to zoom in and out like this. Okay, now if I press on this plus, you can see it is zooming in. If I press on Control and minus, it will zoom out. And you can use two of them at the same time. Okay, so it's going to be up to you, whichever one you want to use. Then we have is fit artboard to window. What I'm going to do is zoom in a bit. I'm going to hold on to Alt, and I'm going to do is go off the view, and I'm going to do is fit artboard in window. When you press on it, you will basically see you will be able to view the whole artboard on your screen without getting all zoomed in or all zoomed out. Now it works kind of the same way fit all in window. Okay, you can also click on it and see how it works. It will be placed in your window. You can see this is not that fit, but it will fit up all on the window. Even though if you have a landscape type of preset, it will still be visible in like this. Okay, it will just have more space, and all is visible at the same time. Now let's go off the view again, and then we have is rotate view. Now if you want it on the left side, right side, or whichever angle you want to see it as, you can click on view again, and we can go out to rotate view, and whichever angle you want. And there's also minus values. Let's say I wanted 90 degrees. Now it is 90 degrees. If I click on view, if I change it to 150 degree, it will be 150 degree. And if I change the view to maybe, let's say, I'm going to keep it on minus 45, it will be minus 45. So use whichever one you want according to your need, but obviously these are not that important. So I'm going to just keep it on 0, because that is how I like it. Okay. Now the next ones which we have are going to be reset rotate view. If you put on any views or any, rotations, You can reset the rotate view and keep it how it was. Basically, just you are reverting how it actually looks like. Or if you put in a couple of reset, rotation views, and then you want a previous one, you can just reset it or, keep it how it was. Now you also have show slices. As you can see that on my screen or on my artboard, I did not put any slices. If you have any slices or if you have hidden any part of it, you can go off the view and you can go off the show slices, and you will basically see the slices over on your panel. Okay, as I don't have any, so it will not show any. But I can put on slices by clicking on this, and I'm going to do is make a slice over here. There we go. Now you can see that I have a slice over here, or two slices. I'm going to click on view, and I can hide the slices whenever I want. You can see that I cannot see any slices anymore, except for that I can see the outline of this. Okay, now I can also remove it if I want to, but when I click on view and show the slices, you can see that they're 1 and 2. Okay. Now let's go out the view again, and then we have is lock slices. You can also lock up slices so that you cannot remove them anytime you want. Even when you're using the tool of slice selection, you can see it over here, I will not be able to do anything because these slices have been locked right now. So I'm going to click on view again. First, I'm going to click on selection tool and click on view. And I'm going to do is unlock these slices just by clicking on it back again. Now you can hold on to it and drag it wherever you want. I'm going to press on delete, and you can see the slices have been removed. I'm going to go off the view again, and then we have is this hide bounding box. If you have any bounding box on your slices, obviously you must have the bounding box. So I'm going to do first off start from over here. You can see that I have my slice over here. There we go. Now I'm going to click on view. I'm going to use show the slices. I'm going to use click on view again. I'm going to use first off click on hide slices. Click on view again. Show slices. Click on view. Now you can see this is how it will look like. Now you can see that there are no one. I'm going to use first off select on it. Click on slice tool. Make a slice. I'm going to click on view again and click on, let's say, hide bounding box, and you'll basically see the bounding box will be removed. Now I'm going to click on view again, and then I'm going to do is first off click on show transparency grid, and you can see the transparency grid is now visible. Now it's going to be up to you how you're going to work with it, and you can also see the pixels on how these actually function, or how is the photo actually moved from one pixel to another, or any object. Now the next one which we have is going to be a bit different. First I'm going to do is remove, or let's say I'm going to do is keep it however it was. Show live painting gaps. Okay, I'm going to click on view. I'm going to do is hide transparency grid, and there we go, we have it. I'm going to do is click on any of the paths and then delete the section or delete the slice. As I'm done deleting the slice, I'm going to click on, let's say, view again, and then I'm going to do is going to be go off the actual size. Now I can get the actual size of any elements when I click on it. Okay, it will give me the actual size of it and how it actually looks like, even though I'm zoomed out, so it will basically show me that the elements are kind of small or either big. But when I click on this show actual size, it will give me the actual size of any element which I have on my screen or on my artboard. I'm going to click on view again, and then we have is hide gradient annotator. If you have any gradient annotator like available or let's say working on your screen, you can hide them up whenever you want. I'm going to click on view again, and then we have is hide live paint gaps. If you have any paint gaps, you can see that when you're using brush or when you're using anything. Now you can see this like this. I'm going to click on view again. I'm going to do is show live paint gaps. You can see these are the gaps. Now if I click on view again, and you can also show transparency grid and hide live paint gaps. You can also do that whenever you want. Now let's go off the view again, and then there is other ones which you have is hide corner widgets. But first I'm going to do is fit artboard and window so that I can see all of it. Now I'm going to click on this, and we have hide corner widgets. You can see on the corner widgets are now removed, or let's say they are hidden. You can also click on view again, and you can show corner widgets. and those will be available back again. Now let's go off the view again, and then we have is this, let's say smart guides. Well, these smart guides are basically, let's say behind, let's say these are most of the time behind, those are the pixels. When you hold onto any element and you want to drag it, you can see that it is now working this way. But when you hide those, grids, you will basically see that it is now moving like this. But if you are, now you can see that this is now moving smoothly without, let's say not skipping the pixel, like it is now skipping the pixels. But when I click on view and I'm going to do smart guides and click on it, you'll basically see that it will kind of like, skip couple of pixels at a time, right? So this is basically how it works. When you are holding on shift and you are dragging any object, it basically gets aligned and then starts moving. But when you remove smart grids, it's not going to work like that. It will be just a full free form. You can just drag it wherever you want. It's basically like, this. Okay. But when you're using smart guide, you'll basically see that, it will be arranged on, let's say, the pixels or whatever grids there are underneath, which are transparent. Now we have is perspective grid. Now you can use whichever perspective grid according to your need. You can show you the grids, you can show the ruler, snap to grid, lock grid, lock station point, define grid, 1 point perspective. Let's just start off with show grid. When I click on show grid, you will basically see the grid is now visible. But as I don't want it, I'm going to do is press on Z, or let's say I'm going to do is cut this off because I don't need any of these grids. You can click on view again and you can go off the perspective grid and you can click on hide grid and that grid will be hidden. Well, that grid is basically for 3D, 3D elements or whatever design you're making. So if you're not making any 3D, designs, or maybe, you don't want that perspective, or let's say you don't want anything to be like that, or according to your perspective that it is 3D. So I'm not going to suggest you to use it because it's not that useful unless you're using or making any 3D object. Then we have a show ruler. When you click on show ruler, it will basically show us the ruler over here. Now I'm going to click on view again. I'm going to click on perspective grid. Now you can also hide the ruler whenever you want. And basically most of the time people don't need the ruler because, the rulers are basically over here. You can measure up whenever you want. And now you can see that I'm going to do is click on view. I'm going to go off the perspective grids, and then I'm going to do is lock the grid. If you want to lock the grid, you can do that too. You can also define the grid whenever you want. And then we have a snap to grid. Well, basically if you don't turn it on or click on the snap to grid, it's going to be a total free form. So you can drag it or drop it wherever you want. But when you snap it to grid, it will be at least aligned. Okay. So there is also 1 point perspective, 1 person normal view, 2P, or let's say 3 point perspective. It's going to be up to you, whichever one you want to use. I just don't like fiddling through it, but you can just go through them and see how those works. You can see this is 1 person and you will be able to see 2 person. Well, basically most of them are 3D based. So I'm going to click on this over again. This is 1 point and let's go to 2 point. And then you can see this is 2 point. And the third one is going to be 3 point. Okay, I'm going to click on this 3 point perspective. And you'll basically see the 3 point perspective over here. Now I'm going to click on view again, click on perspective grid. I'm going to use hide the grids because I don't need it right now. Now I'm going to click on view again, and the next one which we're going to learn about is going to be our hide artboards. If you have a couple of artboards activated on your panel, or let's say 1 document, you can hide your artboards clicking on this hide. You can see that there is no artboard right now, but when you click on view again, and when you click on show artboard, you will basically see the size of your artboard which you are using for your work, and you can customize it whenever you want. So it's up to you how you're going to work with it or how you're going to put it. So this is basically how it works. I'm going to do is keep it right over here. There we go. Then I'm going to go to view again, and then on the view we have show print tiling. Now if you want to show the print tiling, you can also apply it, but you can also see that we have this print tiling option or print tiling tool over here. You can see you'll be able to customize it whenever you want according to your need. So this is basically how it's going to work. Then we have is this, let's go off the view And I'm going to do is you can also hide the print tiling. It's going to be up to you. I'm going to click on view again, and then we have is hide template. If you have any template working or already activated on your document, or let's say already activated on Adobe Illustrator, and you want to hide the template and you want to start off fresh over the template, you can just click on hide template, and that template will be hidden for a while until you want to show it back again. Then we have is rulers over here. You can show the rulers whenever you want on Adobe Illustrator by clicking on show rulers. And you can see on the left side and on the top, we have our ruler so that we can see and how it will work. Now you can also go off the ruler again, and then we have is change to global ruler. And you can also see the show video ruler. So you can just click on change to global. You can see how it works. Now, if you change it to video ruler, you can also change it show video rulers. And this is how the video rulers work. So it just basically helps you a lot when you are working with, videos on, Adobe Illustrator and you want to change or customize it. So this just comes in handy a lot of time. So I'm going to just keep the ruler here because it looks kind of good. Then we have is hide text threads. If you have any text threads activated, you can also hide the text threads. And you can see I only have one, so it's not going to work, but you can hide them whenever you want, okay? If you have any text thread. Then we have is this guides. You can hide guides, and you can also lock the guides whenever you want. Then we have is show grid. You can also show up the grid whenever you want, and now you can see the pixels. You can see that these are not aligned perfectly, but when I hold on a shift, you'll basically see that it will get along the pixels which are over here. See, it just gets very good aligned. Okay, I'm going to click on view again, and you can just click on hide grid. Then you can also snap to grid whenever you want. Just click on snap to grid, and there we go, we have it. Press on shift and it will move like it is moving in pixels. See? Then click on view again, and then I'm going to do is snap to pixel. You can also snap it to pixel whenever you want. Make sure to hold on to any element. You can see it over here. I'm going to do is go back a bit. Again, I'm going to do is take this over here, and you can see now this is snapping to pixels. Okay, I'm going to click on view again, and then we have is snap to point and snap to glyph. Okay, so as we're not using points or glyphs, but if you are putting or applying any glyph, you can use that. And then we have is new view and also edit views. Okay, so in new view, you can see that you'll be able to make a new view or save it whenever you want, and you can also edit the view which you're having or which you already have turned on in Adobe Illustrator. You can add the new view, and then you can just press on OK or name it up. You can also delete it as a section or a selection of tools, or maybe how you want it to look, and so that you can see it later on. It is basically like saving a specific view which you have on your, let's say, workspace. It's basically not the view which I'm having right now, like these elements, not this, but you can like customize your workspace and how you want it to look like the next time you open it. Let's say the next time you want to open it, I want the ruler to be open, I want the grid to be open, I want the scales to be open at the same time. So that is how you'll be able to add the edits, or you can customize it and also save it for your workspace. So hope you understood everything in this lesson about the view ribbon and what functionality it has to offer. Well, all of them are basically very simple, so make sure to use it whenever you want and go through a couple of them, fill with it so that you can discover a lot more things. And these are basically just the basics of what these tools can do. So hope you understood everything, and if you didn't understand a part, feel free to ask me any question and we will guide you and help you through the whole process. So in our next lesson, we're going to learn all about the window ribbon and what functionality it has to offer to us while using Adobe Illustrator. So let's move on to that lesson.